What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Sarlacc Digest, presented today by Hot Topic. Shh. Hey, I'm your host for the day, Chris, Grand Admiral Franz, and with me today I've got Scott Solo.
What's up, nerds?
And Bootleg Joe.
Yo.
All right, so as you see, I've kicked off the mooch. Ernie is now scared of me, and Crystal didn't like me in the first place, so she's not coming on. But she said she might come in later after she watches live and feels safer. All right? So the three of us are getting on here right now, and this is episode 174, putting us 28 days from midnight tonight away from the release of Andor. So you guys excited?
Yeah, hell yeah. You can't
Hell yeah. Oh, wait, it's 21 days. They're the 21st. 28th is Bad Batch. See, look at that. I took over for Mooch and screwed up the intro already.
Hey,
Damn
I've already screwed up a lot. So we're
as long
we're
as you've
on-
seen Palpatine in this, we're good to go. All right, so, since I'm here, we're going to spend the next hour talking about all the possible castings for Grand Admiral Thrawn in the Mandoverse. Okay, no.
I can't remove you from this thing. I mean,
All right, fine. I'll save that for the episode of Hot Topic coming out Friday.
all right. Great.
But in the meantime, what we're going to do is go through some of our housekeeping here. And Scott, if you can talk about our Patreon patrons and give them a big thank you from me and a hug.
I sure will. I don't know how he gets that fancy scroll thing to go, so I'm just going to say it. Everybody that is a Patreon member, thank you so much for your continued support. We really appreciate it. Of course, every dime you put into the donation goes right back into the production of this show. We're looking at hiring a new person to replace Darth Moocher because apparently Lord of the Rings is far more important than Star Wars.
That son of a bitch.
Right? He's going to watch Rings of Power. Jeez, whatever.
Priorities.
What a
I know. What is
jackhole.
your priority?
You can't leave this IP for another mid-go.
I know. So, without further ado, let's thank Nicholas Schaefer. He is our newest Patreon patron member. Ryan and the Star Joes, Cliff, Don and Brady of the Escape Pod podcast on the Red 5 Network, Flavy Davy, formerly of the Nerds with Attitude podcast. Oh, hey, Rusty. Don the Dad Dorn, my cat just scared the shit out of me. Justin the Vanilla Thunder, Mervine, Gavin Connor of the Holy Hour All Cure podcast, Crystal Lamphere, Brandon and Anya Epler, and AJ from the Forbidden Panel. Stop licking my toes, cat. That's weird.
I'm glad he said cat.
That's right. Not AJ from the Forbidden Panel, though he could be convinced. I'm guaranteeing you that. So
A little bit of cash
little bit of cash.
and some bedroom eyes. Right on. All right, and Bootleg. Boot, you want to go ahead and go through who's in the pit right now? I think it's small but mighty so far.
Yeah, so far we got this sexy mofo, Bootleg Joe.
Never
We
heard
got
of her.
Scott Solo.
Hey,
We got Matt Logic 44. We have Arizona Toy Hunters Guild, Gavin Connor, Santo 1414, Plastic Predicaments, Monique. Is that my Monique? Monique Alexandra?
Rural
Rural-
Farm Boy. Hey,
Rural
RFB.
Boy, The Nerd Alert, and yeah, that's
Rural
pretty
Farm
much
Boy
it for
again.
right now. I'm pretty sure there's more, so show your face.
And the
That's
question
right.
was, RFB asked, where's Moocher? We kicked him off. He's done. Donezo. We couldn't handle the beard anymore. Like, go. He's scaring folks off. Or he's watching the Lord of the Rings premiere away from us like a jerk. So
yes, he did. We didn't get the invite. Oh, and that's why Gordon isn't in the chat, because Gordon from the chat invited him to go see Lord of the Rings at the movies.
Another one with his priorities off.
I'm done with this
I know.
madness, and I'm done with this show.
Okay,
That's
well,
going off on my own. Right on. All right. So there's not a whole lot of news, right? We're down to 3 weeks before Andor and 4 weeks before Bad Batch 2. And by the way, that's probably the only news here, right? Last week we were talking about how Bad Batch's date was taken off. Did you guys see that, right? We talked about that last week.
Yeah.
So we saw first off on Reddit and then on Disney Plus Australia. But first somebody had checked with customer support and they had gone in their chat and said, "Can I get a confirmation of when Bad Batch season 2 will be coming out?" And damned if the response wasn't the 28th of September. And then we saw Disney Plus Australia came back with the same date on there. So we're back on track. Everybody's cool now?
Absolutely. Nobody ever thinks to actually go to the source. Hey, why don't you just ask Disney? No, we're going to do a podcast on it. We're going to speculate on it. We're going to get all butthurt about it. And then it's all going to be fine.
All going to be fine. Right?
So, hey, welcome Papa Schmitty, Miss Sunflower, and Anonymous Dude 123.
Anonymous Dude 123. Nice. Dig
Fallen Fett sent him.
it. I'll be damned. We'll be sure to get him a basket of fruit.
That's not happening.
Not happening.
That's not happening.
Patreon stuff. No. Okay, that's not what that's for.
No. That's not.
All right, so Bad Batch right after the first 3 episodes of Andor on the 21st, then we get the next episode plus Bad Batch on the 28th. We're Star Wars up, folks. This is
I love it.
About time. We've been waiting all year for this. They said we were going to be stacked up with Star Wars, and it just didn't happen. So we're ready to roll now. Okay. I think beyond that, with what's going on, I think the another rumor right now from Jordan Maison is that we're going to see Sabine in Mando season 3. We really haven't talked about catching Sabine. We haven't talked a lot about her. What do you think about that?
I mean, I don't see another place. I mean, that would be the place to bring her in. It looks incredibly Mandalorian heavy. And with her past in Rebels, I mean, it's all tied to the Mandalorian Civil War with her mom and the other Night Owls. And I don't see why they wouldn't at this point.
You think it would be like a live type thing, or maybe when they're telling the story about the history of the saber? And maybe the last time it went through, because we've already seen right in the Ahsoka sneak peek trailer, there's like flashback scenes, right, where she was seeing the painting, and it looked like we saw Rebels come to life. Right. Maybe we'll see something like that. What do you think, Joe?
I think she's coming to life.
Think she's coming to life in Mando 3?
Yes, and I think she's gonna be. I mean, why? It's a perfect opportunity to introduce her to the live world.
I agree.
You know, from cartoon, like a transition.
That's actually a really good point. I mean, because a lot of people are going to be saying, who is this character, you know, and instead of having to go straight to Rebels and watch all that, they could get a pretty easy rundown using the Mandalorian. That's a great thought, Joey.
Yep. And I think that's, again, we've talked about that many times. I've talked about it on Hoth, right? About how you want to introduce these characters early in different shows. So if you get them, you get the regular audience, not the big nerds, right? But you get the general audience going, and you get them into a show, and then you bring in a character they care about a little bit or want to know more about, and then you toss them into the bigger show later where they're going to make a difference, right? Get that introduction. So I think Sabine in Mando 3 makes total sense. Don't know if the rumor's right, but I mean, why not?
Rural Farm Boy says, I follow spoilers, not leaks or rumors. Not heard any word of Sabine in Mando 3.
So, we don't know yet, but I mean, it makes sense again, right? So, we shall, we everything's a grain of salt. Everything we talk about here is wrong 99% of the time. We sneak a nugget out there 9 or 1% of the time, but that's completely on luck. Yeah. Now, speaking about that, the spoilers slash leaks, there was some stuff on the Acolyte from Fulcrum Leaks the last couple of weeks. Have you guys seen that?
No.
Okay, well, basically, they had synopsis for the first 3 episodes of the Acolyte, and that was going to be a big topic today. I was going to kind of walk through the synopsis. As I went to get it, it turns out they've been shut down. So as I went to go get my notes ready, I'm like, oh, Lucasfilm took these fools out. So that leads me to believe
interesting,
right, that they might have been onto something, right? We never get shut down because we're never onto nothing, right? They just listen and laugh. And now we've been told now.
Oh no, what happened? I think he was onto something. They took him down.
Son of a. Okay. Now, we have been told by people, right, that work for the company, for the mouse, that people have listened, and they're like, oh, wow, you guys get really close, but then you go way out of control, which is generally what our MO is.
That's
anyway,
us.
So grain of salts. But anyway, the Acolyte thing, they got shut down. So here's what the gist of it, the parts that I'll talk about. You're going to talk about the Acolyte, the main character who was cast. We saw her, right? Mm-hmm. She's going to be dealing with another one called Paul. And I hope to God Paul is just a character name that they're hiding something. Yeah, Paul. No, it's Palpatine. But just straight Paul. And that's the code name they're using. But it's something that the Jedi weren't fast enough to come help her with her planet. And other people are kind of like that too when they're needing help, but the Jedi aren't quick enough. The Jedi aren't doing things. They kind of become disillusioned with the Jedi back then. And they get these acolytes, which an acolyte is just lesser than an apprentice, right? Mm-hmm. They haven't got into their training and stuff. So they're kind of building up almost a Sith type army is what it sounded like. But the cool thing is I think it's going to go through the history of the Sith during this. I think we should start seeing, from the rumor I remember, we're going to start seeing things of Bane and Revan and stuff in the past that are going to come up through this. This is stuff we wanted to see.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Right. Man. So I'm hoping they knock this fool out because he was on top of something, right? So I would dig that.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, the other thing was the mention of Korriban and Malachor. Ow. I know. I know. So
He just
Korriban and
did the
Malachor.
pool.
And Scott, you want to break down Malachor? Why that's or Korriban and Malachor? Why that's important?
Yeah, well, Korriban, and earlier we were talking, you said there was another planet with an M name, and that was Moraband. Korriban, I think,
That's
became
right.
Moraband in
Yes.
Rebel in Clone Wars, whenever
Yeah.
Yoda was out on his quest. So yeah, we've got a Moraband or Korriban, whichever one you want to call it, is a massive Sith world. It's where the crypt of Darth Bane is, where Yoda came in contact with a Force. Not really a Force ghost, but some kind of a residual
Like an
energy
AI/Force ghost. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, yeah.
kind of something you would expect to come out of a holocron almost, but it was really powerful, and it was Darth Bane. Now, Malachor, on the other hand, is the site of a massive ancient battle between Jedi and Sith, and that is. If you recall, whenever you were watching Rebels, whenever Darth Maul came in and was trying to seduce Ezra to the dark side, they were on this planet. They were on Malachor, and there were all the dead Jedi just kind of turned to dust almost. They were almost petrified, if you will, with lightsabers lying all over the ground, just scattered all over the terrain. And it was like the entire planet was covered with almost like a glass sheet. And then underneath the sheet was a Sith temple. And that is where Ahsoka and Darth Vader had their final battle whenever she got, whenever she was presumed dead for a couple of years. And, that's where Darth Maul kind of presented himself to Ezra. So if we see more Malachor and that battle that takes place on that planet, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. I hope that's where it's leading to.
I always think of the old Republic cutscenes of Jedi and Sith fighting, and that's what I want to see, right? Like I know it's at some point in our lives we're going to see this. Besides that cutscene, you know, where we just see a mess of them going at. I was hoping that part right there, what you were saying, we get the Malachor piece, this Jedi battle versus Sith, that kind of even in a flashback would be awesome. I would take that any day. And if they do bring in Bane, even in the AI holocron type thing. I hope they don't use the same model they used in Clone Wars.
Yeah, that didn't look at all like Darth Bane, at least what we've been shown Darth Bane to look like. And that was back in the old Legends, too. I mean, that's when that Clone Wars episode came out. So who knows?
Yeah, it was weird to switch him up from a big, bulky, massive of a man, right? With almost the Deadpool triangles, all this kind of stuff you see on him, right? Into what was really like a slim knight, it looked like. It was an odd change on him, and I hope they would go back to the original look on the books and and the toys even.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So but yeah, is that where they're going, do you think, with Acolyte? Do you think we're gonna see that? What do you think?
I think we've only got the 3 episodes of stuff in there, and now that we see this, I think we're getting to Plagueis. I think Paul's going to be Plagueis. I really do. I mean, there's 4 Paul has 4 of the letters in Plagueis. You can't spell Plagueis without Paul.
You can't.
Right. So I'm pretty sure that this. I'm going to be wrong on this one every time. But again, we're 100-something years. It makes sense. We don't know how long Muns live, and or how long a Sith can make himself live and redo, or if he's been cloned and does stuff. We don't know any of that, right? So yeah, I think that's where it's going.
Well, what's the lifespan for a Mun?
We don't know. I don't know myself. I don't know if it's mentioned anywhere, to be honest. But I haven't looked it up. So, but I mean, again, the dark side is a pathway to many things that people, feel unnatural, whether it be living or coming back up or anything. You figure Palpatine would have learned it from somewhere, some kind of teaching, something. So this Paul guy, or even Plagueis, this is a new Plagueis. This doesn't have to be canon Plagueis. He could have been living for centuries, cloning himself and doing things. Remember, Palpatine said only one person figured out the way to eternal life, right? And it was his master. And if his master did it, and he found out from him, that's where he found out the cloning. He's going to be eternal. He's going to have life eternal through the cloning. He learned it from him. Why not say he's been alive since X amount of years? You know? So I think that could all play into that. Again, you always want to look for things in the original movies, not the 9 movies, but the original 6 at least, to look for things back to where it make it fit, and that would fit. That would make that line fit.
What was Plagueis' real name again? I've only read that book twice.
Got me, dude.
While you talk, I'll look it up really quick so we know.
Got me. But I'm excited about that. And Joey, I know this is right up your alley, dude. It's nothing but dark evil
Yeah, it is.
That is true.
So is this Joey? Where is this rank on the of all the things coming out? Right, you've got Andor, you've got the Acolyte, Ahsoka, Mando 3, and Bad Batch. Where is that? Where's Acolyte rank on that for you?
Acolyte ranks to the top for me.
That's
Really?
what I thought.
To the top for me, because I want to see that. I want a history lesson on the Sith, and this is it.
Me too.
Is it though? I don't know, man.
At least I'm hoping for it to be.
Yeah, it's gonna be something. Hugo Damask, thank you, Rural Farm Boy. I really appreciate that because that was coming up.
RFB's on fire.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
but right. I mean, Paul, Hugo. I've got a cousin. His name's Hugo. I mean, it's just
it all
because you said. I mean, because you said that that it goes back how many years?
100.
100.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not really that far back, but who knows how far back story-wise they're gonna tell. I mean, yeah, it's based 100 years before, but who knows how far back,
right?
Of stories that they're gonna tell in this, and again, the possibilities of just the story of Plagueis coming to life in this.
Yeah, I hope so.
So we've talked about things like Rey in the future, talking about Jedi stories, right? When we're talking about Tales of the Jedi, when we're trying to figure out what that was, that would have worked. We've talked many times about Lando, old Lando telling stories and seeing young Lando, right? Well, we're probably wrong on all those, although the Lando makes too much sense. It needs to happen that way. Yeah. But this is one of those things too. As Paul, is teaching his young acolyte stuff, he should be bringing up stories of the old Sith to make them real, and telling the stories of battles and ages past and all this stuff, and have it go back. And we've seen all these series are really good about going backwards. Mandalorian flashes back to Din's childhood all the time, right, in that first season. In Kenobi, we see flashbacks to the old times, and in Boba Fett, we see flashbacks. So we've established flashbacks are the norm now, right? So why not just keep that going? And with the Sith, that gives us so much history, dude. That's
see what's crazy though is the story is. Like Palpatine said, was telling Anakin, you won't hear this story from a Jedi. So it's not like this is going to be someone gathered around a bunch of children. Let me tell you a story of, no, this is like, that's what makes this interesting is stories of the Sith just don't come out of nowhere.
Yeah. Oh, Joe, you're on fire right there because I think I want to hear that line. I want to hear this is not a story the Jedi would tell you. I want to hear that.
What if the Acolyte here, what if this person, whenever she finds the Sith Lord, what if she is the beginning of the Sith Eternal that we see on Exegol? I mean, we all know that they're filling in those 30-year gap, and the one of the biggest questions I have is about the Sith Eternal. Who are they? Where did they come from? What are they? I mean, it looked like there was hundreds of thousands of people in that audience cheering on Rey and Palpatine. I want to know why. I want to know who they are. I'd like to know more about those characters, and I don't want to read it in a Tales of the or in a book. I mean, I will if it's only in a book. Right. Hell yeah, I'll read it. I'll read it a few times, but I want to see it acted out, live action or animation. I'll take either one, man. I don't care.
Yep.
So
damn sure. I agree with you totally, dude. As much as I love the books and I love comics and stuff, I mean, lately. With the very few exceptions, I haven't been as into them, right? And it's been hard. I'm ready for some stuff on screen. There's something to be said about your imagination being your TV and movie and stuff, and I can make it the way I want it. But I want to see their vision on there, and I want to see these things come to life, and me not have to make it up. You know, we do that with toys and everything else through our whole lives. I want to see it. Make it happen, damn it.
And I agree with you as far as the books go, man. I am trying my damnedest to get through The Princess and the Scoundrel. And the first few chapters of it were really promising. My most hated book in all of Legends was The Courtship of Princess Leia. I hated that book. Other than the fact that it introduced Night Sisters, that was cool. But otherwise, I could not stand that book. And so I had my hopes high for The Princess and the Scoundrel. First 8 chapters that all led up to the wedding of Han and Leia were fun. It was really fun. The actual wedding was a complete shit show from the beginning, and just like you would think it would be too. There's Ewoks everywhere. C-3PO's a golden god still to them, and the Ewoks want him to officiate the wedding, and and Han is like, hell no. it's just this whole thing leading up to it. It is absolutely great. And then they go on their honeymoon, and it's just it becomes a commercial for the Galactic Star Cruiser.
Damn it.
A blatant commercial for the Galactic Star Cruiser, to the point where, why don't you join me in this lounge and have this drink? This is how we make this drink with these ingredients. And I'm like, what am I listening to here? What is this?
No, that drives me nuts, dude.
It's been 7 chapters of that. And I'm finally, I'm just like, okay, I got to take a break. I'll come back to it later. Maybe it'll get better. I don't know. But
to me, it's better the other way around. I think I've said it on here before. If you take something from the books or something from the shows and put it into the real world, like at Disneyland, that's freaking rad, right? Yeah. But it's not as cool when you take something from Disneyland and you put it into a book or into a show, because then it feels like it's marketing.
Yes.
You know, the opposite way feels like it's fun and getting us involved and giving us things we want. This way, you're shoving something down my throat. And I think that's piss poor marketing, and I think that's a bad business decision to do it that way. Yeah. Put it in books first, then put it out. That Star Cruiser could have been in several books by now. We would have liked it, and they would be like, oh, cool, there's a Star Cruiser, now it exists.
And that's what they did with Batuu. You know, Batuu first made its appearance in what? It was in Thrawn's book, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. It was in the Thrawn and Anakin team up.
The
book.
Second one. Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, it felt, I read it, I could picture it in my mind. And then I went, whenever it opened, like half a year later, I went and I'm like, oh my God, there's the blaster marks on the wall in Oga's Canteen. Oh my God, there's the spire. You know, they did it right.
It's different that way. Now, the other books that had it in there, though, were blatant marketing ploys,
yeah.
right? There are a whole lot of Ronto rap stuff and all that crap going on.
But to be fair, with Black Spire Outpost, that book, it was in one chapter. It was like story, one chapter. Hey, check out a Ronto rap. Here's Oga's Cantina. Let's get on with the story. And they never really went back to it.
So it didn't feel forced.
It didn't feel, well, it felt a little forced, but not like this. This feels like our Galactic Star Cruiser is not selling tickets the way we want it to. Let's have a book about it. and
make it important.
And make it very important.
Yes, this is where Han and Leia boned down.
They almost lost me. And Rural Farm Boy says not the first time he's heard that. He hears it a lot in his playlist. Where they really lost me, whenever they were introducing the Galactic Star Cruiser, or the Halcyon, as you would call it, it has 13 engines and can outrun the Millennium Falcon. Wow. And I'm like, stop being a dick. Now you're just being a jerk, man. The Millennium Falcon is the fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy, not this cruise ship.
Right.
And that's exactly what it is. They get on board the cruise ship, and they are given all they're given all of these safety protocols that you would if you were getting on an actual cruise ship. Here's your life jacket. You know, that speech whenever you get on, if you've ever been on a cruise, you're always, whenever you first get on there, here's the escape pods. Here's the life jacket. It's all there. And I'm like, oh my God, I know you're trying to make it real, but we could have done without this.
Completely overdoing it.
Yeah.
All right. That's going to come up in a minute. So let's put a pin in the Halcyon and watch this. So moving on, let's shift a little bit into some other stuff going on in Disney Plus in 3 weeks, right? Get our correct day here, Chris. On the 21st, we're going to get Andor. Let's take a look at that new poster that dropped this week from StarWars.com.
Boom!
Oh, these posters are getting, this is a sharp poster, right? That's a clean, it's no Drew Struzan.
No.
But that's as good as you're going to get without him, right?
Yeah. I agree.
And they've redone the poster twice. This is just the cleanest version, and I think posters don't get me too amped up anyway. I got a very few posters in my life that like one behind me that I just absolutely love. This is a really clean look, and I think I'm going to kind of go through these characters a little bit as we go. Did you also see? You can go ahead and drop that for a sec.
Sure.
Did you see the sneak peek that the people at IMAX got, guys?
Was it what I saw was the one where it was Skarsgård and
that's it,
Andor. Okay, yeah.
So it was a 10-minute deal that went on, but it was just that for the show sneak peek, and then there was like 7.5 minutes of talk and interview. All right, but what it was interesting because it's kind of funny because we talk about this trope all the time. Skarsgård, who plays Luthen Rael. And they use a lot of overdo a lot of names. Rael, it's like Rael Averos, right? Why would you take a name like that and redo that? Kind of like another person named Karn. Last name is Karn. I'm like, you're kind of really close to some other Star Wars names. We have a lot of letters in the alphabet. We can use them and mix them up.
There's also a lot of Antilles. I mean, you got Bail Antilles, Wedge Antilles. They say Antilles is like Smith in the Star Wars universe. So
touche. And it is just weird. And I thought that was a mix-up, right? That was an accident. That was a goof right there. We had to make it right. But Stellan Skarsgård is just a good Star Wars name as Luthen Rail.
Seriously,
he could have kept his regular name, just Stellan. Nobody would blink an eye, right?
Well, we've got Stellan Gios in the High Republic,
so they never use names.
Nope.
So there we go. But the trope they're talking about is basically Andor stole a box from the Empire, right? He stole some stuff from the Empire, and the dude's asking him, he's like, "How do you do that? What what's the deal?" He's all, "I just walk in there like I own it. That's the secret. They're too fat and happy, and they couldn't believe that somebody like me could walk into their house." And we talk about that all the time, why it always happens in Star Wars. I'm glad they kind of address it here, that's why it works, because the Empire is this massive machine, and there are a bunch of people walking around. You think back, I can think back maybe it's about a decade or so ago, I work in a building, and there's like 1,000 people in a building, or 500 people in a building. You don't know everybody, right? The Empire is much larger than that. So I guess that's kind of how you sneak in. We're fat and happy. Nobody's looking at anything. Who would dare walk in here and sneak in, right?
Sneak out with a trench coat and a child under.
Or sneak out because everybody's doing something, right? Yeah. So you've got Kenobi doing it. You do it. How many times does Ezra sneak in some kind of goofy outfit, right? And he's way too short. Yeah, and he's way too short to be any of them. Yeah. Luke and Han from day one. That was the trope. So. I kind of like that Andor is bringing it up now and getting through that. So that was a cool sneak peek to me. It wasn't exciting, but it kind of explained about 40 different scenes in Star Wars. So
yeah, it did. It did. Skyrider says he doesn't like real world names in Star Wars.
I agree.
Except
Luke.
Except yeah. But Paul. We're going back to the Acolyte. Paul. Really?
That's the problem with some of the stuff with the High Republic, right? High Republic has a lot of terrestrial names. And it's like, come on, guys.
I'm trying to remember them all, but they were so common. It's like, I know 3 people with that name. And it was like Alex or something
Dan.
like that. Dan. Yes,
Dan the Jedi.
Dan. Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
Oh, my gosh.
All right.
We're running out of Star Wars-y names. Let's just pick a boy's name. Go for it.
Right. Another one is, let's see, Cyril Khan. Let's take a look at Cyril Khan. He's the inspector guy, the darker outfit.
Inspector guy. Okay, let me see.
So I'm having trouble figuring out if this is an inspector under the Imperial something, or
Let's
if
take
he
a look
is,
at it. Where is he on here?
He'd be that gent up top by Mon Mothma.
Okay. I see. I think I've got a good picture of his back right there.
Oh, I had the other side too, but darn it, I might have sent him in a different order.
Yeah.
But this is the dude, right? He's obviously in the mix of stuff. Is he an inspector on the planet? Is he an inspector for the Empire? What's he going to do? But looking at the poster, I kind of look at the poster and kind of figure out their rankings, right? Okay. Andor is the big dog up top. We've talked, and Mon Mothma is going to be number 2 in the show. We've already talked about that. He's right there, and Stellan Skarsgård. This guy's going to be a big deal. I don't think he's the big bad, obviously, but he's going to looks like the main antagonist against everybody in this show. Him and the woman in the white. That's Denise Goff playing Imperial Officer Deidre Miro. So Deidre is kind of terrestrial, but it's not spelled like it's here. And then Miro is that's a good Star Wars name. I'm gonna start judging their names now. You're gonna start hearing it, Disney, because if I don't like your names anymore with Pauls and shit, you're gonna hear it. There's something, I was hoping Crystal would come on, guys. We're going to save this talk because Emma's mentioned it here, and I'm going to leave it here because we're a bunch of dudes, and I don't want to get too deep into it. But one of the things came up during Slash Film, I believe it was, an interview with Slash Film. She had mentioned how what we're going to see with this character is how hard it is on her in the Empire because she's a woman. Okay? And I want to ask Crystal when she comes on, is that going to be a big deal to her or anybody in the pit? If that's a huge deal to have to bring up. I always kind of thought, we always knew that the Emperor was, just the way he
sexist,
was.
xenophobic, sexist, racist, yeah.
And they really play the Empire up being against aliens the most, and I think Thrawn kind of covers that. Not to always bring up Thrawn, right? But Thrawn is kind of the prime example of how the Empire is against other people not like them. And I had never heard the female piece, and that kind of trips me out. But they have done that within the books and talked about that different species doing that, but never really so much in the Empire, and especially in canon, because we've seen plenty of female officers in canon in both the Rebellion, Resistance, and Empire. So if anybody has a thought on that, but
not as many though. I mean, I go back to, because a lot of my foundation in Star Wars is not only the movies, but like you, the books.
Yeah.
And I look at like the Rogue Squadron books where you've got characters like Yazan Izard, who was always kind of kept down whenever the emperor was alive. And, whenever he died, she rose up, slit throats, did what she had to do to become the top dog. And in the Jedi Academy trilogy, you had Admiral Dalla, who again it's almost like there were females, but they had to claw their way and kill their way to get to the top. After the emperor died, it does seem like he had them under his boot a lot. So,
and I think he has just about everybody under his boot, but to your point, except for like me, right? As long as I would be all right. I get that. Don't think I'm silly. I see that. No. But I was just wondering if there's anybody, in the chat or in the pit that has an idea on that or cares one way or another. Should they even bring it up, right? Is it something that Star Wars needs to bring up? But I think it kind of plays, my point is, I think it plays better and makes the point when it's an alien. And it just kind of it blankets everything, without having to bring it terrestrial. I think just being horrible against Thrawn or horrible against any alien race, whether it be gender or nothing else, I think that kind of covers what a horrible situation it is. But that's just my thought. I think the rest of it just brings it to Earth for a minute and it takes me out of my galaxy far, far away sometimes. When we do that, when it touches so close to home in the times and stuff, it's like, damn, that brought me out for a second. Same thing happens in other shows. Don't get me wrong. It happened in House of the Dragon. We're watching that, and things like then you just move right past it. But it's like you can only say the same thing so many times. It's weird. And I love strong females too. Don't get me wrong. There is no. I love Leia. I love. I don't always love Padme because some of her shit's bad, but the books are cool. Asajj is one of my favorites. Ahsoka is one of my favorites. All that, but I don't ever hear, I had such a problem being a Jedi because I had a problem being a Sith assassin because that's the thing. Yeah.
Here you go, though. You mentioned Ahsoka, you mentioned Asajj, you mentioned Padme. Okay, Padme. She's there, but she's on the side of the Angels, and the Angels have always been led by Mon Mothma, by Leia, by Padme, by all that.
True.
The Imperials. The only time you ever see a female Imperial in live action is subservient to an admiral or something else.
You're right.
You do not see a female in a leadership role in the Empire in live action. You do in the animation, and in Rebels specifically, but you don't in live action. So I think
you're right, and you do in comics and books too, right?
Yeah,
right.
You do in comics and books, but not live action. So to say that it's coming out in live action for the first time. And personally, I think that's pretty cool. I do think.
Oh no, I'm totally cool with Imperial officers, Moffs, everything. That's not even a problem. I just think sometimes it's the reasoning and the landing of that intent, right?
That comment,
it was the thank God we're not having another sausage party was in that article.
It was,
and it's like okay, that pulls somebody like me out. Right? And it's like, oh damn it! Now I'm gonna see that, and I'm gonna think that, and I don't want to think that, and that's why sometimes I'm probably gonna do a hot topic on this. Interviews suck. I hate interviews sometimes with people before the show because it puts these things in your head that what they're gonna do, and it may never be like anything that's gonna be like, oh, they're gonna overdo this for 6 episodes. They might touch on it for 6 minutes and it not be anything,
And that is what I think really gets the fan base in up in arms. It's like they say something in an interview, and then the fan base, knowing the fan base the way it is, they're gonna blow it out of proportion. They're gonna be dicks about it. They're gonna go online. They're gonna go, I hate women, whatever. They're gonna do what fan bases do and be dicks about certain things. And I do think that I do think that having those interviews really, it really does kind of, it sets a precedent of anger, and which is probably going to happen regardless. But
that's totally true too, dude. Because if they didn't have the interview or said something completely different, it still would have. You're always going to have half the people pissed off. Well, probably not. You're probably going to have a third pissed off, a third really happy, and the third in the middle are like, eh. Like that's kind of like we all usually are, or at least me, right? It's like, I see it, I'll mention it, and I'll move on. It's not going to stop me from loving it. It's not going to even get me mad at it. It's just like, I'm not blind, right? And that's all that is.
And I think,
what about the sequels though? The sequels. In the First Order, they got a lot of
First Order.
Officers.
Oh, I was going to say it's not. Yeah, you're right.
But in the first, in the sequels, you see a strong female presence in the First Order, like officer wise, and
it is. So I guess that would be the growth of 30 some odd years, 40 years.
Plus, without the direct influence of Palpatine.
But
because we're talking.
You still see no aliens.
Yeah, you're right. And you know what? I almost said Palpatine. That was the First Order versus the Empire. Then it hit me because I forget about the sequel sometimes.
Yeah.
That Palpatine still is in charge of the Empire or the First Order, but
sorta
shadowy, right?
Yeah.
So
he's still in the shadows on Exegol, so I don't think he has direct influence over him. Otherwise, they'd all have those Star Destroyers with planet-killing abilities from day one. Let me see. What have we got here? Let's check out the chat real quick.
That was good, safe conversation. Points across, no craziness. That's a tricky topic right there. It's a tight wire, but we're not too scared of it. A little bit, maybe.
A little bit. That's why it was kind of nice to have. We need that conversation more with Crystal. You got to ask her.
I know, darn it, but I was going to bring it up today because we were on that path. Damn it.
Rural Farm Boy says Denise Goff did say in a pod interview with Jedi News that a female Imperial will be spoke to in story in a Star Wars kind of way. Okay, so I take it that means they are going to address the lack of female officers, but they're going to do it in a Star Wars kind of way. I think that's what he's getting at there.
As long as that works, and it's probably going to be something about the Emperor himself and things like that. And that's a little bit different. It's just how are they going to execute this, right? It's about execution. A lot of things, like you and I speak so much about Attack of the Clones. Yes. How much I love Attack of the Clones because I can see past it, but you do know I do see it. Like you talk about the execution sucks. And I don't disagree with that, but I still think it's fantastic. It could be the same thing here. How's the execution going to be?
Right.
So that's it. And then the interviews just kind of throw it out there, and it kind of messes us up.
And so, Miss Sunflower has a really good point here, and I'd like to bring it up.
Yeah.
It is, are you going to be disappointed if Paul is not Plagueis?
Yes. Now I am now because there's P-L, A, and U are all there. They're all
there.
If they gave us clues. If they didn't, they're jerks. That has to be Plagueis. So yeah, I'm going to be super upset. Who else is it going to be? Just Paul? I swear to God, if his name is Paul, I'm turning it off for about 30 seconds while I calm down and then coming right back. Paul. Yes, I will be upset, Miss Sunflower, because I just think it's a way. Okay, how about this? Maybe not if Paul isn't Plagueis, but if we don't see Plagueis by the end of the Acolyte, I do think that'll be a miss. At least him getting him becoming an Acolyte himself, right? Him being part of the training piece and coming up. At least that.
I'd like it if they brought Darth Tenebris into it. And he is who the Acolytes are bowing to, and then you see, Hugo, maybe the ascension of Plagueis.
And Paul is an alien, and those are both aliens.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Paul is not a human; he's a humanoid alien.
Right.
So he could either be a Mun or a Bith with no problem.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I have a movie on Blu-ray called Paul, and it's about an alien. And that alien looks like a Bith. He does.
It's
it's not unheard of. There we go.
Oh man, we're a mess now because you can't spell Plagueis without Paul, but Paul looks like a Bith. So it's one of the two. We've nailed at least half.
We've got it.
All right. Paul Aegis. Yes, he's Skywalker.
I feel a shutdown coming. They're gonna shut us down.
Paul Aegis. That's it.
Starlight Digest is shut down. They figured out the whole mess behind the scenes. Right on. All right. Well, we beat that one to death real quick. Woo! So we've got 20 minutes, folks. Guess what time it is? It's time for the Wheel of Random.
Oh my God! What is this?
Look at those topics.
Look at those topics. So as you guys see here, we've got most of our topics as usual, and every few we've got one of our either we send love or we talk trash to our beloved Darth Mooch. So
that's right.
Scott, if you want to spin the wheel.
You got it, gentlemen. Here we go.
Oh!
Lucky.
All right. So the topic is Snoke. So where do we want to start? Do we want to start with how we want more of him or how he was a waste in the sequels?
Let's go with where we think they're. I don't know. You lead the show, man.
All right. Dig it. So I think there was probably a different plan for Snoke from the beginning. I don't think Snoke was supposed to die in 2. I think Snoke was supposed to go to the end, right? Do you guys think that Palpatine was just a last second ad in there? Like they were like, this whole thing is broken.
Absolutely.
Damn it.
Absolutely. And it seems more and more apparent to me that that's what it was as time goes on. It just doesn't work, man. Had they hinted at it in the beginning, like I've said 1.5 million times on this show, with a laugh or something during Rey's Force vision, in the Force Awakens, then it would make sense. But just to throw him out there at the end, it's like, I was excited for Kylo Ren. I was on board with them killing Snoke because I really was. I wanted to see a Skywalker, Ben Solo, Kylo Ren in charge of the galaxy. I wanted Supreme Leader, evil freaking Kylo Ren.
No boss above.
No boss above.
Yes.
Nobody above him. And they undid that in the first 5 minutes of that damn movie. And as much as I love Ian McDiarmid and I love his portrayal of the Emperor, I thought that was a waste too. I honestly thought you can listen to his lines in the movie, and it is every cliche that he has thrown out in the previous movies that he was in, regurgitated with a different spin. It's like they took his old scripts and say, here, just say these words again, but make it sound older doing it. Sound sick whenever you're doing it.
Easy.
It just, man, it's
should have left. Yeah, I agree. Should have left him and then had Kylo kill him and take over. If you're going to kill him in 2 especially, make Kylo the big bad at that point.
That's what it was all building to.
But they had to turn him back around. I mean, that's what the BS is, right? You couldn't let him just be evil. So I agree with you. I would like to see the Skywalker on top of that. What about you, Joe?
Snoke was. It's like you want to say he was too important of a character to snuff out that quick, but it's like he wasn't around long enough to be that important of a player.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's but there's so much history that we haven't heard yet. We've read about it.
And how he
like to saw it.
How he's been around since the beginning of this whole mess, right? That was where the quotes, and he knew so much. So I can almost headcanon the fact that since he was cloned of I would assume some parts of Palpatine, right? And Palpatine's like, I am all the Sith, just like she is all the Jedi. And that, which by again was one of the 1% we were always right on, which was Palpatine was going to contain all the Sith. You guys look back for years. We've been saying that shit for years.
Yeah.
I think, oh shit, I don't know where that train was going. But Snoke, if he was cloned from him, then he knows the same stuff, right? He's been around since the beginning. So you can kind of play headcanon in there that's why he knew things and why he was powerful and all this stuff. He was just, and I can explain why he looks all funky, because it was just a fucked up clone. Oh, that was my one. I wasted it on that. Wow. That was a waste. I was waiting for something on Moocher. That's
dag nabbit.
Dag darn it. But yeah, I think it was a huge waste, but I could headcanon a few bits. I still think we're going to get some stories on him. Actually, shoot, man. I would kind of like to get a little bit of early regular Snoke. What if we can get like a regular, undeformed original Snoke, like in one of these shows? Like, why not show up in Andor or show up in Mando or show up in something, right?
It was a thing that they said in that Kylo Ren comic, The Rise of Kylo Ren, where it was Snoke was deformed because of a confrontation that he had. Quit biting me, you little shit. Rusty's like in a mood today. I lost my train now. It derailed. Snoke was deformed because of a confrontation he had with Luke. And whenever Kylo saw him for the first time in the comics, he said, what did he do to you? It was that kind of moment. And now that we see his cloned body already looking like that inside those Sparty cylinders, which I'm going to call them from here on.
Oh, yes.
It kind of undoes that, it kind of, and they've already said they're not going to undo things that are in canon.
So that's what Snoke said. Did you see it happen in comics?
Yeah, you didn't see it happen in comics. Snoke said it.
Just like we see the two sides of Kylo and Luke's vision, telling the story.
Okay.
So Snoke could be just messing with him to get him pulled over. I can headcanon that pretty easy too, right?
Okay.
So actually, do you have one more picture in there? Do you have Andor with the blue background, that little triangle thing? I wanted to bring something up real quick.
Yes, I do. Keep talking while I find
it.
There it is.
Okay. Hey, what I'm really worried about here is. Is that are those? Oh, that's your. I'm like, whose waters are those? Isn't that a picture? So anyway, I'm worried that this bar right here is on the Halcyon. I wanted to bring that up. Okay, I'm really worried. I've seen a few bar scenes, and I'm pretty sure this is on the Halcyon. But here's where I was going with this. You can kill it now.
Okay.
I'm hoping they are on the Halcyon now, and this is where they see Snoke. And then we have some kind of talk about Snoke. That would be kind of a cool little jab. At least you get some connection to the sequels. We know all these things are supposed to help the sequels. All supposed to help the Disney era of Star Wars. So another thing. And they did say, there was a quote here. Let me see if I can find it real fast about fan service. And they said they would be giving us fan service. Not fan service. They'll be giving us, let me grab it.
That was
Such
my
a
cat,
loser.
Papa Schmitty. That was my cat, Rusty. That bit me
Hey,
on the
when asked about legacy characters may pop up in the series, Gilroy, the director writer, kept coy, but noted that if it did, it would never be for purposes of just fan service, and never have them appear for the sake of being in the series. He's all, it's never cynical. It's always meant to be there. It's always protein, never icing. So nothing just sneaking in. So he's not saying they're not going to be in there. We're going to see some main people in here, and they're going to be important, is what he's saying.
Right.
So people we don't know. So again, we can sneak people we've talked about either on this show or on Hot Topic, but I've never really talked about Snoke, and that would be kind of a cool addition to see why he was important. Have him in some rich place, right? Have him somewhere that is important, or even maybe in the beginning of the rebellion as some wealthy aristocrat that Mon Mothma is trying to bring in. Could you imagine that? And he would know everybody. That would be so cool if he was in their little mini circle and it is breaking off.
It would definitely be interesting because you're talking about in the middle of Palpatine's reign. You know, it's not
Right.
after. We're right in the smack dab.
So
in the center of it.
they've never came out with like a name or a character of who he was before.
Snoke.
No,
like,
just Snoke.
nothing?
Snoke
I think his name is actually Snoke.
What is a possibility that maybe
Paul.
he's a clone of Palpatine's son?
Well, he's a clone of Palpatine. He's a
So
he's
he's
a
obviously a
failed
clone
clone.
of Palpatine. So okay, so man, I don't know why I'm blanking it. What? How did his son die by getting? Who did he?
Are you talking
Who killed him?
about Palpatine's? Oh, Palpatine's
Yes.
son. Okay, well, Palpatine had several clones. Most of them they killed when they weren't right, right?
Yeah.
But he had one like completely unforce sensitive kid, and that okay.
that looked
he has
human.
he
That
has a
looked
regular
human.
yeah he has a regular name too, like a regular Earth name like
Dathan.
Dathan. Oh,
Dathan.
never mind. It's Dathan like Nathan. Okay, that's right. Dathan.
Right, Dathan.
But anyway, so he was the imperfect perfect clone, right? A perfect clone, but not force sensitive. So he kind of let him
okay.
out.
Okay.
Let him out to breed is basically what happened.
It's exactly what he did.
Yeah.
Right.
He pretended to just let him go, but Dathan thought he was escaping, but Palpatine knew the entire time. And that's where you get what's his name, Ochi of Bastoon and all of that. Ochi shanked them. So
Now check out Gavin's note here about it's still odd being a clone, but doesn't look anything like Wait, sorry, Marco's not here. Palpatine, other than being old, white, and crusty. Am I missing something? That's a good point because since he was a clone, okay. This is where that theory crafting comes in from the other stuff. You're trying to probably mix stuff around, right? You're probably trying to find the best way because we know from old Heir to the Empire that it's hard to clone a force sensitive.
Right.
They come out crazy, they come out warped, all sorts of things go wrong. So they're having trouble doing that right now. So you figure that's why they want Grogu. They're probably going to want Ezra or Ben or all these things, right? People that they find are force sensitive, they're going to want blood samples from these people and probably have. So they've probably used some different samples, and that's how you come up with Snoke. The original Snoke might have been some kind of force sensitive. They try to use him, throw in some Grogu blood, throw in some whatever, throw in some Palpatine blood, and they're mixing shit up, and all of a sudden you have, boom, crazy 8-foot tall, crusty hole in the head Snoke. I mean, there's things they're going to have to explain that because that is weird since he was in their cylinders.
You just made me think of something though too, and I hadn't put these two equations together here, and that is the Inquisitors. The Inquisitors are all out there trying to get rid of Jedi, right? They're trying to find Jedi. They're trying to get rid of Jedi, but they're doing it slowly. They're doing it smart. They're not out there just killing. And whenever they do get them, they bring their bodies and put them in that amber liquid back on the Inquisitorius, whatever, Castle Inquisitorius. What if instead of just outright killing Jedi, and that's why they got pissed at Reva for killing that one on Tatooine, what if they're capturing all of the Jedi, bringing them back there for cloning purposes?
Oh, yes. I love that. I love that. Why just go for the baby when you can see? I figure Grogu is singularly important because of that Palpatine knows how Yoda ages.
Right.
Yoda
ages, and Yoda was all powerful.
Right. Exactly. So in that is reason for him. But you're completely right. It doesn't have to be a kid. And matter of fact, that son of a bitch is 50 years old. He's not even a kid. He's a kid in size and whatever. But he's not. He's younger than all these other Jedi. So that is a great point, and I hope that's part of it too. Yeah. Right in the Sparty cylinders, like you said. Love it.
Right.
All right, cool.
All right, are we gonna roll this?
One more. Let's roll one more.
One more? What the hell? Okay, here we go.
We got 8 minutes, man. I can't come on here and go an hour and a half. Then Mooch will be like, "Oh, you go an hour and a half when I'm not there." You just
oh, God, no!
Woohoo!
Wow.
Do you guys want to go first? Because you know my thing on Rose. I'll go into.
I am not a giant Rose. I know she's on this list because she is a controversial subject, which is what the wheel is. The wheel of controversy, basically. She doesn't bother me as a character. It's the situations they put her in that bothered me. She was perfectly fine. I understand what she was going through, and having lost somebody like that and being on the run, but it was taking that kind of cool character. We didn't get to know her well enough to really think she was cool. Throw her into this really dumb adventure on Canto Bight, which to me, The Last Jedi, the only part of The Last Jedi that falls apart for me is Canto Bight. You remove that and I can watch that movie and I'm like, this movie's pretty cool. Don't you bite me again.
It's that damn time frame and they're going across the galaxy. Canto Bight was exactly as far away from Crate as you could possibly be. And they jumped there and back before the ship could catch them
in just a couple hours.
Right?
I mean, that's some serious Millennium Falcon kind of speed right there.
I got you, Joey. What were you going to say right there, bro?
I'll never forgive her for robbing Finn of his glorious death, ever. Not that I wanted Finn to die, but I felt that the first time I seen that movie, I felt that moment so, I was like, "Oh my God, this is."
It was poignant.
I was even getting teary-eyed, and when she pulled, when she pulled him out of the ship, I was like, "No, let him have that glorious death," and she robbed him.
The only way
that his life means something right there. It would have been a better ending than what they did in Rise of Skywalker.
I was hitting Mooch when he was going for that thing. I was hitting him. I'm like, dude. I said, this is where Red 5 comes back right effing now. Red 5, here he comes. And we never got that. Then Rose comes in. I'm like, oh, that's no fun. But I would have been okay with Luke coming in for the save right there. Right? So it wasn't even the fact that Finn got to live. It was just the way he got to live and by who saved him, which was weird, right? And I guess that was what it was. Because if Luke came in there, Red 5 flying in, I'd have been off my seat. And that's one of those things, just who.
Yeah.
And that is, maybe she hadn't earned the right to save him there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to kind of build up and then save somebody, I guess. Like Han saves Luke in the end of A New Hope, and he had definitely earned that. You know? I can't think of any other place where somebody saved somebody and hadn't earned it through the show.
Or even if she took the sacrifice, even if she got, she was the one that took the bullet. I would have been all right with that, but
I'd have been cool if Rose biffed it right there.
I wouldn't have been crying at all. I'd be like, about time.
But no, get that Black Series figure right up there.
Said, about time.
About time. She made it through that whole movie. Okay, so here's my take on Rose. And I know I've covered this before, but I'll do it again. So I didn't like Rose at first because I thought it was pointless. I definitely didn't like DJ at first because I thought he was pointless.
I still don't like DJ, and I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, exactly. But when you put them together, you didn't realize what their reasoning was. And then you realize, and sorry for you guys if I'm on repeat about this from a couple years back, but Rose, for all intents and purposes, Rose was his angel on his shoulder and DJ was his devil, right, for Finn. And so Finn was in this point in his life where he's at a fork, right? He had just left the First Order. He didn't want to join the Resistance. That wasn't his plan. All he cared about was Rey. Right? Where's Rey? Where's Rey? All the time. Let me run. I'm going to run. I'm going to leave. He's going to leave at Maz Kanata's castle. He's going to do all this stuff. He's running, okay? So he gets knocked out. He's in a coma. They bring him out, and what's his first thing? Where's Rey? Okay? He's not trying to be part
Literally his first words.
First words. He's not trying. He has not chosen a side. He has chosen Rey, and that's it. So through this whole visit to Canto Bight and on the ships, doing all his whole journey, he still hasn't chosen. So this whole time, Rose, from the beginning, from right when he meets her, is talking about the Resistance and how great everybody is and his sister and what a hero he is and blah, 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 and going off and telling him this is what we do when we fight for the things we love. While DJ on this end is like, F everybody, man. Look at me. I live happy. I live free. Nobody's going to tell me nothing. Oh, look at this thing. Your heroes you're talking about are buying these ships the same way the Imperial or the First Order is. You guys are all getting it from the same people. Good is evil and evil is good. They're all the same. And that's what he's showing him, right? He's the devil. F it, man, run. And Rose is all, F it, man, stay. And that's what they are. And once I realized that, I was like, okay, I probably have some problem in the execution again. But I realize how the characters are written, and I realize the purpose of them, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm not half mad at Rose or DJ anymore. I'm mad at the Canto Bight time, and that's it. That's all I'm mad about there. But Rose now totally cool with, and I'm actually I feel bad for Kelly Marie Tran, all the shit she took.
Yes.
And I also feel bad because I think they dwarfed her role in Rise of Skywalker because of it. And I think she could have become a really important tertiary or so character as far as a lot of the old side characters we had that wouldn't be so hated.
They put out some BS statement that her part in the series was always supposed to be in the Rise of Skywalker. She was supposed to be with Leia the whole time. And then with Carrie Fisher passing and the whole bit, all of a sudden her part got cut way down. But I think that's crap. I think that is obviously crap, especially in the way they got her to stay there. Finn's like running up to her, come on, Rose, we're going to do this. Nah, sorry, I can't. I got to hang here with Leia and the guys while we figure out what's going on. And they played her just kind of like that. It wasn't even, if it was the same Rose that was in the other movie, she'd have been like, hell yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, she should have taken Claude's place on the Falcon, taking care of the machinery, right? Wasn't she she was a mechanic?
Yeah,
right. Yeah, we have Claude with no arms, legs, or digits.
Yeah, is he poking things with his head?
Which at first is fun, right? It's kind of like what's Geode. It's kind of like that. Like, how are you doing that? It's dumb, but it makes it fun. But on the next step is like you could have easily put Rose there, and she would have been with the heroes and been doing something important. So they did kind of blow that, but here nor there. I'm not Team Rose, but I don't hate Rose at all. I see the point of her. I don't think they executed her character very well. They did that with several characters in the sequels. But once you see, I don't know if anybody disagrees or agrees in the pit, but once you see the reasoning, if that reasoning makes sense, I think it just makes it easier to swallow.
In the pit, we've got a lot of people saying the same thing, which is no real anything negative about Rose at all, but some negative about Canto Bight. Yeah. So as a whole, I think pretty much, we're right. People agree with us.
Yeah, good. That's how it should be. That's what
anonymous dude 123 does have a question for us. True or false? In your gut, do you think you will enjoy Andor more than Kenobi?
I'm worried I will.
Tough one.
I'm worried. Isn't that weird? I'm worried I will because I love Kenobi. Because I love Kenobi because the Vader Kenobi
and the way
stuff.
It ended.
And I love Leia and I love all these pieces. Right? There's just so much in there. It should be my favorite Star Wars. It should be right. It's so good to me. But I think Andor is going to be one of those when we're done with it, we're like, whoa. That was
just
solid.
Like Rogue One. Just like Rogue One. We had The Force Awakens. We were like, oh man, that was great. And then we had Rogue One. We all went into it going, okay, what's this? What's this all about? And then we walked out going, I need a beer. I need a drink, man. That was intense. And I think that's what we're going to get here.
I sure hope so.
Same writer too. So, there's no reason why we shouldn't.
Yep. And it's, he did mention there's not Jedi running around or anything. Doesn't mean we won't see Fulcrum, but this is a straight boots on the ground, building the Republic or building the rebellion. This is what we're going to do. And it's going to get nasty and it's going to be awesome. And like I said, we're going to see the fall of Saw and Mon's relationship. We're going to see all of this. And did you guys see the part of that interview too? They mentioned it's not like going to end at like the split second of Rogue One. It's going to split 5 days earlier. And it's going to be when Cassian gets on the ship to go to the Ring of Nafreen.
A Ring of Kafrene?
Ring of Kafrene, yeah. And that's what Tony Gilroy, it's not a secret how this show ends. It's going to be Cassian going on the ship to go to the Ring of Kafrene.
That's cool.
And that's it. I know, it gives me chills just thinking about it. 'Cause I'm like, I see that already. Yeah. And it better be this exactly like I see it. Yeah. Or I'm going to be upset, damn it. No, kidding.
I think we got enough time to do one more spin.
Oh my God, it's 9. Look at you. Let's go for it.
All right, let's do this. One more spin, and hopefully it'll land on one of the 4 Darth Moochers that are right next to each other. Let's see. And there we go. Oh. Come on.
Oh, there's 2 mooches. It's going to be a mooch. All right. So what do we want? We want to tell Mooch stories. We want to tell him we love him. We want to make fun of his beard and that he's short and, needs to maybe do some crunches. What are we doing?
He knows that we love him and he knows that he has an epic beard and all that. Tell us a story of Darth Moocher from his younger years, Chris.
Oh man, I don't know. I think I've told you guys about the stories of me and Mooch, right? Mooch and I have been see all my, I can't see him. Behind me, I have all my convention stickers on that 4-foot Vader right there. I've been to every convention. I've never been to a convention without Mooch, right? Like, I don't know if I'll ever go to a convention in my life without Mooch. So that's fun. Star Wars movies I go to. I can't think of the last Star Wars movie I went to without him. If I'm going back from the 90s. So, I just to, this show is fun because we're all friends and we're all everything, and I just want to keep that going with all of us. And like I said, Mooch and I have this very long history of going to shows and doing things together like that. But Revenge of the Sith was probably my favorite with him, just because it was 3 days, 2 nights in a tent, sunburn as hell going into that flick, you know, watching it over and over again together, and just being so happy at that, knowing that, thinking that was it for Star Wars, right? That we were never going to get another one. That was our farewell, our big boom 3-day event, and let's knock this out, you know. And then we get to do it again. We're 20 years later, and we're still doing it, and I think that's cool. So all this shit talking aside, and playing around with Mooch, you know, I miss you, Mooch. Although I'm a pretty damn good host, so deal with it. So
you kind of are. It's kind of scary how you just picked up on that real quick.
It's a whole different mode when I'm sitting in a square and when I'm running it.
Yeah. So I've known you, Chris, for damn near 30 years.
Yep.
Mooch, though, I just met him whenever I joined this podcast, and that was 2017 whenever I came on board. And he is one of my best friends now. He is just that guy. Julie and I have him over for dinner. I mean, he comes over, plays games. We watch. Yeah, man. We go to Disneyland together, man. He's a cool dude.
Oh, he is. There's a nerd line, right? And we all stand right here.
Yeah.
Mooch generally jumps over it and then takes a little bit of a walk, not a run. Mooch ain't running anywhere, right? So he takes a little bit of walk farther down the way, and he's on that side of the nerd line. We'll be talking regular nerd Star Wars stuff like normal humans, right? You know, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter. And he starts bringing out Dungeons and Dragons. And I'm like, Mooch, just go stand over there by the tree, dude. You got to go. You know, so.
He still gives me crap about Star Trek, but I understand that's, that's acceptable.
And that's a different line you need to go to, and that's the exit line. And that's where you need to be. You
know?
That's funny.
Bootleg, you got anything on him?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've only known him maybe 5-7 years. Met him and Chris in the line of Force Awakens, and it sucks because I wish I would have met you guys back in the prequels. You know, that we only got to see 4 movies together, and I really wish we would have met. Back in the prequels. We could have seen those together, and there's plenty of times he's talked me off the ledge on a lot of things, Star Wars wise, podcast wise, life wise. He's a perfect person to have in your life if you're going through something.
Sure is. Mooch, you're getting all sorts of love today, man. He's probably crying right now. He's watching
this. He's the biggest enabler.
Yes. Oh my God, it really is. But I pay him right back.
He needs to get his priorities right.
Yeah, y'all do, really, because I poor Mooch, you done jacked him up. We got him one toy, and his whole house, his whole income is gone. He's never going to retire. We've screwed him all up. Well done.
Every time I go to a toy store or something, I've got him on speed dial. I'm like, dude, they have this. He's like, oh, okay, how much? Okay, I'll pay it back right now.
Yeah, but enabler.
Yeah, we got to say one thing about him though. He does have this one hair on his beard that kind of sticks out all wobbly. It's like, gotta trim that hair, dude.
Like Mooch, come on, man. It ain't that difficult, bro. Right on.
All right.
Well, tell you what, that's it for episode 174 of the Sarlacc Digest. And Scott, I'll do that. Well, we don't have Ernie, so let's do this. Scott, where can I find you?
Oh, hey, you can find me at The Art of Scott Solo on the Instagrams. And, you can always find all of us here at the Sarlacc Digest Central on Facebook, where we continue this conversation and we take it in all sorts of different directions. So do that. Chris, you're over there. Hey, this mirror thing just doesn't work. Are you still hanging out on Twitter? Are you doing your thing on Twitter?
I am on Twitter, so you can message me, talk to me, anything on Twitter. You know what? I do pop in the IGs now and then. So you can message in either Hoth Topic Podcast or Sarlacc Digest, either one of those, and I'll be in there talking.
Awesome. You can also follow our TikTok page. That's what is it? TikTok.com/ I don't care. Sarlacc Digest Podcast. I do 1-minute toy reviews and a few other things on there. You also have down there's some links that you can buy merchandise. We've got Sarlacc Digest shirts. We've got Sarlacc Digest pint glasses. We've got all sorts of crap that you can, Do it. Just go on there. And like Chris says, don't ask, just go. Just do it.
Right. Hey, real quick, I wanted to say,
yeah.
hey to Rural Farm Boy. I want to say, Rural Farm Boy is on Twitter, right, with us. Avid listener, listens every week, shares our stuff every single week, is on the East, so it's hard to get in here. So we want to say appreciate you for jumping on. I know many of you are on the East Coast. Love to see you live when you can. Appreciate you a lot. And Rural Farm Boy, we love the support, appreciate the support, and thank you so much. So I want to throw that out there. So
thanks for joining the pit, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's awesome. TJ8311, another great show. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, but if you have a spare dollar or two, log on to patreon.com/Sarlacc Digest Podcast and consider donating to the show. It all goes back into the production of the show. It goes into promotion of the show. We're trying to hit 1,000 followers on YouTube right now. Once we hit 1,000 followers, everything kind of opens up. And we are, I think at last look, we are 81. We are 81 followers away from it. So once we hit that 1,000 threshold, things are going to start popping, and we're going to have a giveaway. We're going to have a couple of giveaways. So all of you that are in the pit regularly, you're the ones who are going to get targeted for this giveaway. So brace yourself. You're going to get some stuff. Gotta love stuff. So yeah, that's that. I think that cover everything. Oh, Crystal, Rogue Toys Crystal. Check out roguetoys.com for all your toy needs. Rogue Toys with 3 locations in Las Vegas, as well as Salt Lake City and Portland, Oregon. So Rogue Toys Crystal on Instagram as well. Bootleg Joe, where can we find you, sir?
You can find me on Instagram at bootleg Joe_760. And you can sometimes find me on Snapchat at Jedi Killer.
Snapchat?
Really?
Not
Snapchat.
I'm like,
TikTok.
wow, you don't look like a 13-year-old girl, man. I don't know.
You can catch me on MySpace at what?
Yeah. I don't know where that came from.
Joey,
Yeah.
a little slip. I get you. Right on. Did we do Ernie's 87 different shows?
The Fallen Fett Chronicles, how we do Disney, the Toy Migos with They're Not Dolls, all of Ernie's stuff. Just follow the
Boba Squadron.
Boba Squadron, right? And
that dude's got a lot of stuff going on. Ernie,
and he works full time, and he's got a wife, and he's got a life. I'm like, how do you do it, dude? Do you only sleep 20 minutes a night?
I barely have time for this hour and a half. Damn it!
Right. So,
all right.
Yeah, so I think that's it, boys.
That's it. All right, well, tell you what, everybody, thank you for joining, and thank you so much in the pit. Thank you, our patrons, and we're going to see you next week, live at 8. Scott?
That's right. Keep it nerdy, everybody.
Later.
Oh, now I got to hit this button right here. That was the wrong button.
You're still
I hate
live.
it when I hit the wrong button.
You're still live, brother.
I know I'm still live, but I hit the wrong button. That's just
before we start cussing.
I know. That's just embarrassing. I'm going to hit this button.